the notes.
Okay, I pushed the button so we can begin.
All right, today we have a super special guest. We have Dr. Brandeis Marshall. She hails from the west side of Akron, Ohio. Personally, she is one of my favorite people to follow on LinkedIn.
And Twitter.
Yes, and Twitter, definitely. And her work is about the impact of data and data practices on technology and society. That's like a general umbrella, and she contributes to data engineering, data science, computer science, education fields, all sorts of things. She also authors really cool articles on Medium that I'm about to make my students read the next time I have to teach my computers in modern society class. So things like, how are you so easy to find on the internet? Are you okay with imperfect algorithms and word clouds? Recognizing the standard discrimination in data sets. So she's been killing it in Medium. She's been killing it for these past few months. She is currently a professor of computer science at Spelman College, and she was the former chair of computer and information sciences at Spelman College. She's also been an assistant professor and associate professor at Purdue University. She's a faculty associate at Harvard University in the Berkman Klein Center for Internet and Society. In case you're wondering about where she went to school, she received her Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from the University of Rochester and her Master's and PhD in Computer Science from RPI, or Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. If that was not enough, she is a Race and Tech Practitioner Fellow at the Stanford Center on Philanthropy and Civil Society. Yeah. Other things she got going on, because she's not busy enough. She is the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Data edX Group. And this takes you from being overwhelmed by data to being very clear about your data. So that group assists professionals and practitioners on integrating equity into their data practices. They lay out how discrimination in data is made, and they identify ways to cope and intervention strategies. If that was not also enough, in October, the 1st and the 2nd, she is going to have a whole conference, a 2-day forum for Black women called the Black Women in Data Group. And they are going to plan their next career move in the data industry by hearing from data expert speakers, expand their data skills, learn current equitable data practices, and much more. So we will link to that if you're interested. And she runs the Rebel Tech newsletter. She got a book coming out. It's called Data Conscious, Algorithmic Seeds on Our Humanity, and that's coming out in September of 2022. So, Brandy, before you do anything else, I'm going to just end the welcome here before you start doing more stuff that I got to talk about.
Take a deep breath.
Celebrate all of that gloriness. Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your super busy schedule to be with us today.
Oh no, sis, this is awesome because you're letting me procrastinate on editing that book that's coming out in September. So appreciate you.
Hilarious. So before we get into all the awesome stuff you're doing with data, blah, blah, blah. Allison, please take that out. Before we get into all of the things that you're doing with data science, all those wonderful things, I wanted to first talk about how the three of us, got to know each other even more. So a while back, we were all affiliated with IMCS, which is the Institute for African American Mentoring in Computer Sciences. I thought I was going to get one of the words in the wrong order.
You did. Well, you said computer science is
Computing, yes.
Sciences. Yeah, so we had a conference called NSBIC, which is the National Society of Blacks in Computing. And Brandy, Jeremy, and we worked so hard on that conference. And we were definitely and none of us had,
I don't know why I was there.
You were the IMCS project manager, ma'am.
No, I wasn't. Not at that time.
Oh, yeah, the first time you were not. That is true. The first year you were not.
The first year, it was like, what are we doing? I was like, I'm doing what now? Someone voluntold me for something?
Yes, everybody was voluntold.
I voluntold, and I was like, Kyla, excuse me?
But, I was just looking back. You made the whole app for the program. You did a lot. Despite being super, super busy. we had a lot going on. We made it through. We are alive. People literally to this day are emailing asking if they can get access to people from Nesbitt.
Oh, really?
Literally this week. So.
I still wear the shirt because I was like, I worked hard for this t-shirt. I'm gonna wear this V-neck t-shirt. Yes.
Yes. I'm always about a good V-neck.
Give me that V-neck t-shirt.
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
No one needs a round neck. Everyone needs a V-neck.
It's so
V-neck.
comfortable.
It's so comfortable, so nice. But yes, that's how we met. I remember us having conversations about tea or coffee. Are you a tea person or a coffee person? We had a whole 20-minute conversation, Kyla and I, over the phone.
We did.
We were venting about something else, and I was like, I'm sitting there making tea, and I was like, do you like tea or coffee? It was just a random conversation.
But it's those like random moments though where you get to know people outside of just like, oh, I work with you, we're doing this project together. You really get to bond with folks. And I know you were definitely a huge mentor for one of my good friends, Dr. Wakedi Dika at Purdue as well.
Wakedi.
So I know. Shout out to Wakedi.
What's up, Wakedi?
Right. His shout out count is up to 2 now. So Amber shouted him out.
That's true.
Yep.
I read his dissertation too many times.
Oh, wow.
That's real mentoring.
Oh, yeah. It was deep. It was deep. I was like, no, you're going to get out.
Right.
I do not need to be on your committee. You need to get out.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know you weren't on his committee. Like, you were just, oh, wow.
It was just on the side.
Mentorship.
Oh, yeah. It was just on the side. The whole story behind that was I was not allowed to be on his committee. So I was blocked from being on his committee because I was a postdoc, and then I became an assistant professor in a different department other than computer science at Purdue. So then it became a interesting, my first real introduction in academia on turf wars. And I was like, that's okay, Wakedi, that's okay. You can come by and see me, but I'll help you out. Don't worry about it. Let's keep it rolling.
Hashtag secret mentors.
Exactly.
We need
like,
to make that a thing.
We'll just do this in the shadows, whatever.
Yep.
And he was trying to get a paper published, and that was an issue. And I was like, go ahead, publish it. Well, I won't put your name on it. Okay,
published
fine.
it without his advisor. He published one without his advisor. Like, oh, you're not going to mentor me? The field will mentor me. Here's this paper.
My first paper actually was without my advisor and solo.
Wow.
Back in 2005, the IRI conference. Because I couldn't
let them know.
Listen, I was like, I need to get published, and I've been in grad school for 5 years.
Listen.
So
you know what? Let's talk about it. So
yes.
So I was
this
just
is
like,
our usual trajectory, but let's go. Let's do it.
I told y'all I'm just gonna start talking. You said
hey, that works.
Let's go back to the very beginning.
Okay.
Of time.
Yes.
In your life.
Well, but we're gonna end up back here, though.
So I gotta start us where we need to start so we can get there.
Yes, please.
Did you have any like early influences in like science and engineering, computer science that like helped you get in the trajectory that you're on today?
My earliest computer science-y thing was actually high school when I got a C++ book, and I was the only girl that wanted to figure it out. Wow. And even the computer teacher didn't know anything. It was like, here's the book, have fun, go for it.
Not the computer teacher in Akron, Ohio.
No, this was actually I went to school in Shaker Heights, so Hathaway Brown.
Okay.
And that person didn't know anything about coding, didn't know anything about computer science, and so I just did it on my own.
Here's a book. Wow.
Here's a book, figure it out. So that's what I tried to do. I didn't get very far, obviously, because I didn't understand anything. But actually, I would have to give a nod to my mom, because as a kid, what I remember is rolling coins.
Oh yeah, I used to have to do that.
Yeah, so people of a certain age understand what this means of rolling coins. When they
don't know what change is.
They don't know what change is. They don't understand that nickel, that dime to go in there and get that candy. They don't understand what the real need was for change when you were a kid, because you needed to get change so you could get your candy on. So anyway,
needed to.
So my mother would have a big Welch's jar, as most Black mothers did. And you put all your change in there, and then like once in a while you dump it out and you separate all of the coins. You then roll the pennies, roll the dimes, roll the nickels. You have a nice little book for the quarters, and you do all those things, and you go to the bank, you learn stuff. So that's what I remember as being my first introduction into being comfortable with money and being comfortable with numbers and counting and math. So by the time I got in school, math was cool because it was like, okay, I'm basically counting coins.
Right. Like I'm counting as a hobby.
Make sure I got it all.
Yep.
Right.
And that's where it really started. So my biggest influence has to be my mother. And then fast forward to high school was when I got this computer science coding book, C++, and then tried to figure that out. Decided I needed a trajectory in order to get a job because I wasn't going to go to college and be like in college for like 5+ years. I wasn't going to do that.
Not knowing, right.
Right. I wanted to be, out in 4.
Yes.
And I wanted to,
is expensive.
Super expensive. And I'm the only pea in my parents' pod. I'm an only child. So I was like, I can't be just in college forever. I need to make sure that I have a plan. And so my plan was computer science because it was applied math to me. And it was creative and I could make money.
I love that you said it was creative.
Yeah.
Because I took a class in like middle school that was like, I'm pretty sure it was like Visual Basic or something like that. And like, I was like, I hate it here. Like, what is this nonsense? I just had no interest in it whatsoever because I felt like it wasn't as creative. And I think like now that I know what I know about computing, there's so much you can do with that skill.
Yeah.
You can make it something that's very creative. You don't have to. Right?
Yeah.
If that's not your jam. Like you can just do straight numbers and letters and characters.
And keep it moving.
Yeah.
But for me, it was, I love dance. So I've been dancing ever since I was 4, I think. My mother has to tell you because I don't know. But I was like 4. So my parents put me in dance when I was 4. And so I love dancing, but I am a people McNugget, vertically challenged.
What does that mean? Not a people McNugget. I'm done.
I have never in my lifetime heard someone say that.
And so being a professional dancer wasn't something that was going to be in my plan. It was just something for fun. And so I immediately saw, well, what happens if I were to choreograph using code? And so initially that was my thought was...
Whose brain thinks that? That is so... I mean, it's just so different, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people think that way, but that is so cool.
That's what I wanted to do ultimately. So I wanted to go into anything visual, anything that was human-computer interaction. And so math couldn't do that, but computer science could. And that's where I was enticed in order to figure out a way in order to make what I wanted. I never got there. I just danced because I like dancing. But now today, umpteen years later, I see how people are using computing in the humanities and the arts. That's like, of course, we want to have this code actually do something impactful and powerful and helpful. And not always, and beautiful and engaging and enlightening and all of those things. And so that has been the reason why I gravitated, I think, toward computer science, because I saw it as a way in order to blend my two loves, which was math and dance.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. And that makes so much sense, though, but I feel like most people, when they learn about like what computing is or what computer science is, they don't make those connections that, oh, this is also something that can be creative. So did you do any sort of like internships or anything where you got to exercise that creative muscle even more?
No.
No. How did you get to Rochester?
Yeah, how'd you get to Rochester?
How'd I get to Rochester? Okay, so I had criteria for college. Number 1, it had to be paid. Number 2, it had to be out of Ohio. And number three, it couldn't be extremely far because I still am an only child. So I knew that I wouldn't flourish in a very large institution. And I knew that I didn't want to go very far from home, right? Because I was just nervous. As I said, I'm a vertically challenged person. I want to feel safe. Like, that's my biggest thing, was making sure that I'm safe. And I want to have access. I always need to have an escape hatch.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to find a way to get home. So I got to Rochester because I talked to the career counselor. What is it? School counselor? Guidance counselor. There we go. Guidance counselor. And there's schools that were schools that were you could get into, and schools that were, most likely you would be able to get into. And so Rochester came up as one of them. And it fit all the buckets because it was 4.5 hours away from where I grew up. And they wind up giving the most money after some haggling by my father.
Hey, you need to haggle.
My dad was like,
Who
wait a
knew
second.
you could haggle a scholarship, though?
I mean, he was like, she's this, this GPA from this top women in girls' school in Shaker Heights, Ohio, blah, 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 blah. I mean, he just said the things like what.
And she's out of state, so y'all need to subsidize.
Come on with it. Come on with it. That was my dad. And then I wind up getting pretty much tuition covered. They had to cover the remainder. That first year, what they had saved was gone. Wow. I wind up at the same time not knowing, I wind up applying to be a resident assistant. So I was an RA starting my sophomore year. That subsidized my housing and my food, and thank God, because my parents said, "Oh yeah, we don't have enough. We're out. We're out, tapped out."
No, that's a blessing. Definitely.
And so for 3 years, I was an RA, which made me very empathetic because I saw a lot as an RA and understood how people operated and didn't operate. I think that my favorite story about being an RA was when I woke up.
Oh, I want to know.
My favorite story. There's several, but my favorite story is I woke up. It was like I was on a co-ed hall, so the floor was co-ed, and I think it was my junior year. That's my second year as an RA. I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm hearing sounds. You're in college, so if you're in a college dorm, you always are hearing something.
Yeah.
And I finally woke up completely and decided, okay, obviously this isn't a dream. Something is going on my hall. It's not above me or below me or whatever. So I walk out, and the common area was full of people. So the halls was separated. So the hall I was an RA in was called hoeing. Okay, jokes. Let the jokes flow. Okay.
Why would they? They knew what they were doing.
Listen, it was named after a guy who went to University of Rochester. Okay. His last name was Hoeing.
And he was hoeing.
Listen. Whatever. The halls were separated like an L. So there was 2 halls, and in the middle was the common area with the TV and all that other stuff. So that area was all filled with people that I did not know. And a couple of them were my residents. And I walk out because the doors to the hallways had been closed. That's why I was hearing muffled sounds. I open up the door, and everyone goes, "Shh, it's the RA."
Wow.
And I just look around. My residents, there was 2 guys who were pledging a fraternity, looked at me. Yes, a white fraternity. They came into me and said, "Look, the party got shut down because there was underage drinking. Everybody came here
to underage drink some more."
Okay, listen. I looked around. I saw everyone had made it to the 4th floor because that's where I was an RA. And I said, okay. I turned around and I saw another one of the residents on the other hall. he was an EMT, and he
my
was
God.
on duty that night as an EMT. And I looked at him and I said, "Are you on duty?" He was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay."
You got this.
And I said, "Okay, continue."
I'm going back to sleep.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't. I stayed up.
Oh, wow.
I stayed up and sat down, and they were like, "We need to leave." And I was like, "Stay. You don't, whatever.
Aw.
Yeah, y'all here.
Y'all here." And I was afraid because some of them looked a little wobbly. So I was afraid if they tried to walk downstairs, it was going to be an issue. And I was a
Yeah.
little concerned for some of the girls. And I said, "Well, if I'm here."
Right. There's a minimal amount of stuff that can happen.
It's a less likelihood of anything
Like, Mom's
inappro-
here.
Yeah.
Pretty much is what I did. And so I just stayed up for another 2 hours till they all dissipated. None of them were violent. None of them were, anything. So I just sat with the EMT and
Frat
me,
party.
just
I mean,
chilling.
If it got you free college, I'm just saying to put up with some frat parties.
I mean, it could have been much worse.
I-
I thought she was going to say she found a random animal that wasn't supposed to be.
Listen, I got those stories too where
Oh my
I
gosh.
walked to
thought
a
you were gonna say they were
bathroom.
playing DDR because that's what they did in my dorm. They'd be up till 3 a.m. playing not DDR. Yeah, Dance Revolution. Yeah, DDR.
There was some of that, but there was a lot of there was some homophobia. One resident didn't like his roommate and decided to pee on his door.
What?
So
Okay.
But if it's your roommate's door,
This is college.
ostensibly,
That's
this
your
is
door,
your
technically, yeah.
well, he then had moved out by that point, but he was mad that he had to move out because of the homophobic things that he was doing, and so he peed
Wow.
on the door. It was just, as I said, there was a lot. There was a student who tried to commit suicide, so there were some serious
gosh.
things. So yeah, that was like, I woke up, I was like, wait, what's happening? And I was like, okay, I got to find the person's roommate in order to make sure the roommate doesn't go into the room. And there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of things that I learned as being an RA that I think prepared me for grad school and prepared me for professorship and is preparing me now for my datapreneurship that I am part of. So
Well, I'm glad that you had those formative experiences where you
Yes.
could really just kind of put that behind you and then
move
use
on.
it.
Yeah, because
Use
it's
it.
like a microcosm of society. Like being in that dorm, it's like you don't know who you're gonna get. It's just a bundle of folks that signed up for the same place.
But you understand how people think and maybe not why they do the things that they do, but that they will do some things that are unexpected.
People
Yes.
going people.
Facts.
All right, I think we can stop.
Oh my God, we're having way too much fun. Oh my God, we're having way too much fun. Okay.
Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back.
So, okay.
And I just
Let
bought a
me-
moose on Amazon. But continue.
Kyla, anyways, so basically, it sounds like you had your hands full. Right?
Yes.
Like, because that's a huge extracurricular activity to be engaged in, right?
Yeah.
But I know that you got a PhD at some point, so I've just been wondering, like, were you able to do undergraduate research? Was that something that piqued your interest while you were at your undergraduate institution?
So there's another set of stories. So yes, and I actually had work study as well. And when I was work study, I did work with the physics department for a little while, and helping them build their Java back end. It wind up not being a fit in the long run. I was dealing with a lot of like personal things, because undergrad CS, only
my
Black
gosh.
person. It was a lot.
That is a battle.
And then some relationship stuff had come up as well, which again is another lot. So I wind up moving on from being removed from that
wow.
engagement. To be honest, like that's where it was. And so I was interested in figuring out like what to do next. And so I wind up having a GPA that was high enough in order to have me in the McNair program.
Oh, you're a McMahon scholar.
Yes, so I wind up being a McNair scholar. I went through all the things, but the last thing was, of course, to have that research experience.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't find anyone to work with at my institution. I just could not, it just did not work. I wind up like submitting a paper and I did it like, back in the day, you type up a paper, you slip it under someone's door and you run away.
Right. And you run away. There's no spell check. There's no Grammarly. There's no, yeah.
So that's what I wind up doing for McNair. And I knew I wanted to go to graduate school because I knew the .com was going to bust. I was like, this is not going to last. Like, y'all getting this amount of money, this is not going to last. I'm going to go to grad school because I definitely feel like I don't know enough in computing to be a good contributor to a team. So I'm going to go to grad school, and education was always instilled in me as can't be taken away from you.
Yep.
So I said, both of my parents stopped their education for very different reasons. And so I was like, if I'm going to get education, I'm going to get all I'm going to get. So when I'm done, I'm done. And so I then applied to graduate school in order to pursue what I was like, I don't know. I think I want a PhD because I mean, Dr. Hill sounded pretty good to me. And just said, I'm just going to get it while I have the unction and the opportunity in order to get it. And then applied to grad school and got into Rensselaer and started TAing.
Why RPI?
Yeah. Money.
Because
yeah, there was
a theme.
I interviewed up there in Troy, New York.
Yeah, so the great thing about Troy, New York, was when I got there, the first person I met was Alan Bivens.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't know Alan Bivens, you have to meet Alan Bivens. He's at IBM. And he is just a wonderful person, and his wife, Kim, are wonderful. It's just a wonderful person as well. They took me and my parents in for a couple of days because when I first got the apartment, all the electricity and utilities weren't hooked up correctly. So I had no water, nothing. So my apartment building and where Alan and Kim lived were like a block apart. So he was like, oh, just come and stay with us.
Oh, that's nice.
So Alan and Kim will forever be just like really great people in my book. And that's the first person I met when I visited Rensselaer.
Oh, wow. See, I met him at TJ Watson when I did an internship. But still, same story. Super wonderful, super nice.
Yeah, super just great overall person. But he was the first person I met. I stayed at his house with his wife while me and my roommate at the time were looking at the institution. He gave us the reel about the Black people. Like, there's no Black people here. It'd be great if you come, y'all. I would like to have some company.
You're right. I would like to have company. See, that's what Joel was for me when I came, because we had done also internship at TJ Watson, and I came for that trip, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, this is different. It is gray here. Like, the whole town has a gray cast on it." Like, it was just, but y'all had like a different sort of process, though, at least when I was going through, where like you had to interview with specific faculty, and if there was not a project that a faculty member wanted you on, you would not be offered admission. Like, there was no just grad student pool. It was like, hey,
when I joined Rensselaer, it was PhD program or master's program, and there was no attachment to a faculty member. I was part of, I think, the last year where they allowed that to happen. And there was a huge class of us. I mean, there was 70, 80 people in the graduate school class at Rensselaer. This was 2000. So it was right at that .com busting point, tilt. And so I got in the PhD program, like directly into the PhD program. So I was very blessed and grateful to actually get a TA-ship as well, so I could pay for it. And again, Rensselaer because they paid the most.
So how did you pick who you're going to work with.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
How'd I pick?
Because you didn't come in with a, hey, this is the thing that I've been thinking about for my whole life, and this is what I'm born to do in a PhD. Yep. Like, how did you pick?
How did I pick? It was a matter of deduction. Who was doing things that I was interested in, and it wind up being in database. I wind up looking at all the different expertise in the department, and everything tended to flow through data. And also this internet thing. I was like, there's a lot going on this internet thing. And no one's really talking about this internet thing.
Right. We need to monitor this because it looks like it's growing.
There's something happening here. Everyone wants to talk about programming languages and systems and hardware, but no one's talking about what's going on.
Because you can reach all this content with the programming languages, but it's like, no, this thing is growing. So
yeah, there's something here. My nose is telling me something's here. And so my advisor was one of the only people working within the database realm. And so that's who I wind up picking as my advisor. And then that relationship was interesting.
Tell us more. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, it took. I'll say this way. 5 years and a master's degree. My first publication was by myself.
Yeah. Say less. Okay.
The publication that I have with my advisor was not until 2006, the next year.
Wow.
And that was one in which I wrote, but then it was rewritten after it was accepted.
Wow. So it got accepted, but they're like, no, it needs to have my touch on it. Like, what are we doing?
And then the presentation was done not by me. But I was at the conference in the audience.
No, I would have been swinging.
That is interesting.
Was Nuck If You Buck out then? Because if it was, I would have played that during the whole presentation. Wow.
Okay.
That's a nutshell.
So, but you,
okay. Why is this a thing for us? Like, why?
It's a common theme. Like, getting your work co-opted, being underestimated, having to do stuff for yourself. Then once they see, oh, this person has done this thing without me, putting their name on it, and then saying, oh, but now it needs to look like me, and I'm gonna get the credit, and I'm gonna pretend like you wasn't even here. Why does it have to be all of that?
And the authorship was by alphabetical order. So I was not first author of that publication.
See, that's making me want to go and swing on somebody right now.
I have deep concerns. And like the thing that like is the most concerning about all of it is like, this is still a thing. Like, it would be different if, like, you know, at this point people are graduating and they're not having these conversations with us. But like, we have people who just graduated 2 years ago or who are in the process right now, and it's like, people are fighting, and a lot of them look like us.
Yeah. And that's the reason why when I finished my PhD and Waketi was there working on his PhD, because we both were at Purdue, I was like, yeah, dude, whatever you need. Because I was just like, I
knew what it was like.
I was like, I'm not going to watch this from the sidelines.
Yeah. Like, and a lot of people will. They know what's happening, but there's like so little recourse, right? And they can't intervene necessarily because now the retaliation could turn towards them.
Yeah. I remember my own dynamic in the department. I was with Advisor 1, and then as soon as I switched from Advisor 1, people I didn't even think knew my name professors in the department coming up to me, oh, I'm so glad that you changed advisors. Oh, I'm so glad that wasn't a good fit. Where were you these first 3 years when it was not being a good fit? Like, why remain silent? But also, this person had a whole lot of juice in the department. So there's all these dynamics.
If the fit isn't fitting, somebody say something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If the glove does not fit,
You must acquit. What?
Just saying, it has multiple usages.
It does have multiple uses. But this is a story that happens over and over again. It happens if you're an undergrad. It happens if you're in grad school. It happens if you're in the workplace. It happens if you're an assistant professor. It happens if you're an associate professor. It happens if you're a full professor. It happens if you're a manager in corporate. It doesn't matter. If you are a Black woman with any type of degrees and common sense,
Yep.
and not playing into white supremacy, you are forever being gaslit. And so you thwart off as much as you can. And that's why I tell as many people who are in the assistant professor track and are, quote, junior, whatever that's supposed to mean, you take a day to not come into the office.
Yeah.
One day. I use Friday.
It's Racial Reconciliation Day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's
And
so
it wasn't,
much.
and that came from one of my white male colleagues at Purdue. He was like, yeah, I don't come in one day a week so I can hang out with my family. I can also do some research work. And you might want to do the same thing. I think most people in the department, that's kind of what we do. Everyone kind of takes a day. And I was like, oh, really? That's a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Research day, Friday, 3-day weekend. Woo woo.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, it's, and people don't understand, like, just the tax of just being physically present and watching everything that happens, all the dynamics that happen, and it registers for some, does not register for others, but you're still there watching the circus.
Yeah, you're watching it and you're part of it. And being a postdoc, you see things at a different level because you have the PhD, but you don't have any type of authority or influence. And then once you move out of postdoc until assistant professor, you then see a different level of dynamic. You're like, oh, people are nasty. Oh, okay, I'm going to sit here and shut up because this, ooh, where's the popcorn? Oh,
Right.
these people don't get
Where's
along.
the popcorn?
I'd be like, ooh, I swear, I'd be telling people, I was like, there really needs to be the real lives of college professors.
Yes.
I was
Because-
telling our chair that I was like, this need to be a reality show, and he's like, who will watch it? I was like,
Everybody.
me.
I will watch it.
Everybody.
I will watch it. I am
Yes.
so disappointed that my current faculty group is like, everybody's wonderful and it's just great. And
Because Jeremy was in my department for a minute, and she's seen
Computer science.
the circus.
Oh,
we are
it's so
notorious
juicy.
in the College
There's
of
so
Engineering.
much drama.
Always
it's
drama.
just like
Oozing.
huge personalities and just
It's
I don't
herding
know.
cats
I
in a
love
bag
it.
with
And-
Yeah.
a sharp bat like that.
And the things that I've gathered from this is a computer science thing, right? Like
Yes.
it's not
Yes.
a thing that's like not necessarily like happening in other places. It's happening in other places. Because every time I
But
talk
it's
to
always
someone
computer
in computer
science.
science about
It's
it,
computer science.
they're
Like
it's our department too.
It is so unbelievably toxic, but
Pretentious.
yet you can't stop watching. Like
Yeah.
I remember being okay, so I think I was close to putting my tenure package in, and it was one of those faculty meetings where I was sitting on the edge. I was close to the door. Because I didn't make it early enough to sit at the big boy table, right? So I'm sitting near the exit door, and something happened. I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy on my laptop answering emails, and some conversation started, and these two senior professors started to go at it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, snap. And then I bring out my phone, and then I text another female colleague and say, are we going to Harry's after this?
I'm telling you.
And if you know Purdue, Harry's is the local pub. And so she was like, hell yeah. And so we make a beeline. We're like, what in the world? What happened?
What was happening?
What was
Wow.
happening? What did you hear? What did you understand? Because it's a whole bunch of history and context of the department that you don't understand.
Right.
And computer science, I think, has that toxicity, especially at a PWI, because of how computer science came about. Right?
Yes.
Computer science is this offshoot of math.
Yeah, it's applied math.
And people with computer science backgrounds might also be coming in from IT, and both feel like stepchildren to math. And for some reason, the history of the institution downplayed computer science for so long until it became part of the powerful three. Yeah. And so now computer science is like buffing up its chest. And so you have all these people that are like, yeah, computer science is the best, yada, yada, yada.
Yes. And the further rift between theoretical computer scientists and people who do more applied work, because this has always been the rift everywhere I've been. I'm not talking about one specific place, but people who are in theory, they're like, I don't need grants. I shouldn't be judged by how much I bring in, da, da, da. But also, if your research involves humans, you don't know computer science as much. Like, you're taken as, oh, you're like half computer science, half some sort of social science major. It's like, no, I'm fully computer science. And I also have expertise in this other area that's required to do my work. But people tend to feel like the pure or the core computer scientists tend to feel like our work isn't as serious, it's not as important, and that's always a divide.
And then there's a third divide when it comes to engineering, because some computer science departments want to be affiliated with engineering, so they want to be seen more as hardcore. Yeah. And they want to make sure that they have that affiliation with engineering so they can get the money and get the reputation and prestige of other engineering departments. Oh yeah, it's a whole kerfuffle.
And so, someone who likes drama, this is the space that you want to be in.
No, but Jeremy, you can say that as like someone who can observe from a healthy distance. Like, you were in the department, but you were not of the department. You were like, I can watch this with my popcorn, but some of us were like, this is my life. Okay.
Yes, yeah, and that is hard.
I felt kind of bad because, like, for me, it really was like, I'm watching something happen and it's not happening to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that makes it a little different. I think if I had to like exist for real in a department like that, I would fall apart because it's hard. Like, it's hard to get anything done. But
you just have to change your perspective, though. Like, for me, I behave like everybody has some undiagnosed mental illness. And
she says this a lot.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, if somebody act crazy, it's, oh yeah, so-and-so they didn't take their medicine today, poor them, versus me getting all, in knots about this person. And then we're in Florida, we're near water. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the beach because y'all crazy.
Because y'all crazy. I did not have a beach when I was an assistant professor, so
there's no beaches and stuff yet.
No. It's flatland.
Oh, I've
Flatlands.
been. I came a couple times to visit friends. The cornfields. I was like, if I make a wrong turn, I'm gonna be in Oz. Like, I don't know where I am.
It is crazy. So I got more vocal as I went through my assistant professorship. I got more and more vocal. I looked around and realized I was the only woman in the department trying to do research and having an issue with graduate students and having graduate students believe me and stick with me, and that was an issue because I was not.
What do you mean by believe you and stick?
Believe me, but what I mean by that is that I had grad students that would question whether or not I was telling them something that was true or accurate when it came to their procurement of their research setup, of the process in order to get through their master's program, of what the writing was and what the interpretation of their experiments were and the value of them. Oh my gosh. I literally had a graduate student hand me like trash writing and wanted me to fix it for him. And I just was like, I have the degrees. You're trying to get them.
Right. Right. Like, this
I'm
is
not
your
doing
job
your
to
work.
learn how to do it correctly.
Yeah. And they, I had a routine where I would sit down. I was not in a computer science department. I was in an IT department, computer and information technology department at Purdue. So I sat down and I said, okay, look, you want to be out in 2 years. This is the routine. I reversed engineered everything. And I had master's students who were just like, no, I don't want to do the related work now. I want to do experiments now. And I was like, no, you need to. Exactly. Like, what you're talking about? You need to know what's in the space before you develop a experiment. And how do you know what the experiment setup is going to look like and what's your methodology? And I literally had a graduate student. I remember him distinctly, literally telling me, I'm not going to do that. He's standing up in my office. I'm sitting down, and he's literally like,
no,
I'm not doing. And I said, well, you can't work with me on this because you need to do this.
You're putting the cart before the horse. It's like, how do you even know what to run if you have not read?
But I did wind up finding success with several graduate students. I had faculty that put me on committees. But of course, as part of promotion and tenure, you have to chair master's committees. And then I had to fight to get my third year review because they didn't do that in the department. So I fought to get that. And when I got reviewed, it was a piece of paper, 1 page, and basically told me I needed grant money and I needed to graduate master's students. And I said, well, I have a problem with procuring master's students and
graduate master's students. I've never heard that as a
well. I was in a as I said, I was in a computer and information technology department where it was mostly graduates. It was mostly master's students and very, very, very few PhD students.
So like master's thesis students.
So master's thesis, students.
Okay.
So that's basically what I was told. But I had not gotten any external funding, and I also had not graduated a master's student as a chair. And so I listed my grievances about what that process is. And they sort of worked it out. But I really had a champion in Melissa Dark who came to me and said, hey, I really want to help. And I have this project and I want to know if you're interested in working on this project. It's in cybersecurity. It's sort of related to what you do. I think it'll be really great. And so she was the person who unlocked the funding model for me.
Wow.
And
that's all it takes.
Is one person. And Melissa Dark did that for me, and forever grateful for her for that. And to me, she helped me get tenure. So
shout out to Melissa Dark.
Exactly. So, she definitely was not just an ally. She was a complete advocate and helped me and understood everything that was happening. And she just heard me. She heard all the things. And she understood all the things because she saw it. She was like, yeah, why is this? And why is that? And how does this person get a grad student, but you don't? And I had
and people act like everything's equal. Like, oh yeah, you show up on day one and everything's equal.
And it's not equal. I had a grad student, another story.
Why you apologize? We love storytelling. Modern Figures is a conversational style storytelling podcast. Storytelling is in the beginning.
So the grad student that really set me off was when the student had a hard time. I think there was some language barrier challenges, but also didn't understand that I meant business and was not providing me with the value of their intellectual prowess. They would come to me and tell me random things.
Half bootying it.
Yes. And she would be late to meetings and things like that. It's just weird stuff kind of going on. I didn't know what was kind of happening. And I was letting the student go. I said, you need to find another advisor, master student. And I was trying to do it early enough so that she could find somebody else. And she had a difficult time finding someone else. So she came back to me and she made an appointment. She came back to me and she came with a bag And she goes, I'm running late because I saw this dying rabbit and I wanted to take it to a vet. Do you happen to know where a vet is? First off, it was a squirrel. Second of all,
Brandy, what?
What? I can't.
This is bananas.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. But this is stuff you got to deal with.
first she was trying to come in. She was trying to come in my office, and I saw her with the bag, and I saw like this fluffy gray white tail, and I was like, "What are you doing?" So I got up. You know me. I'm black woman first, so I got up real quick. Like what?
Professor second. Got it.
Listen.
That's nuts.
And she kind of I was like, no, I don't know anything about a vet. I don't know anything about a vet. And are you sure that it's like, well, it was dying and I wanted to help and blah, blah. And I said, and she left. And then I went immediately to, I think it was a senior faculty member. Maybe it was the chair at the time. And I said, this person is no longer my student. You need to find someone else for her. She spent a couple of weeks going around trying to find somebody else, and colleagues would come and ask me, and I said, she came to my office with a dead squirrel.
Calling it a rabbit.
Calling it a rabbit. I was like, no. Long story short, her case wind up being part of the department's like exit the master's program without writing an actual thesis.
Wow.
Because she had been there for I don't know how many semesters, and there was issue. And I said, I disagree with this whole thing. I don't think this is a good idea. Like I haven't gotten anything out of her, and she came to my office with a dead rodent. I was like, what?
Where I draw the line.
This is it. And they all looked at me like I was crazy until my colleague that was next door said, "Oh no, she did really." Because she came to
glad that you had somebody like that could co-sign that moment for you.
Shout out to John Springer. He was like, "Oh no, really?" She was like, "Oh yeah, she came to me and I saw the thing," and I was like,
"Was this pre or post tenure?"
Post tenure, because once I took tenure at Purdue, I was out. I left.
Yes, it was.
Deuces. A month later, I was like, "Oucha, here."
So you went from there to where?
To Spelman.
You didn't want to say Spelman, did you? Okay.
So all I will say is that I really, really, really enjoy my colleagues at the computer science department. Okay. I really enjoyed my colleagues, and I dealt with trying to make this as I'm always transparent, but I want to make this as direct as possible. I dealt with a number of different professional abuses. From 2016 to 2018. And it happened in succession from multiple levels, peers to administration. And it was painful. It was extremely painful. And from 2016 to 2018, I was chair. To make sure it's very clear, I was the department chair from 2016 to 2018. I served 2.5 years. It was supposed to be a 3-year rotation.
I was gonna say, how long is the typical timing for that?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 3 years, but I was removed because I would not concede on my ideas being co-opted. And it was painful. It was painful Personally, it was painful. Professionally, people were all like, oh my God, this grant is so awesome. You're going to be working with upskilling faculty and data science education. This is so necessary. And I couldn't get any help. Administrative help. I was that whole grant. I did on my own.
Wow.
I mean, like completely.
And then it comes back to you with no help, like.
And then I got asked in late 2018 in order to have a conversation about a bigger initiative for several institutions, and in order to work on data science education. And I saw the white paper that had been circulated to the administration, the senior administrators of those institutions, and I see my grant in there, and things were not quite what I had written. It wasn't the PI I was working with. The co-PI I was working with at the time. And I was like, what is going on? So, sorry to take a turn for it's very serious, but it was a shock to my system, because my whole life I have been the only woman, the only Black person, the only, and PWI born and bred from the time I was 4. Private schools, the whole nine, and to be at an institution
that's for us.
That's
for Black women.
That's supposed to be for Black women. I felt completely sideswiped, gaslit, co-opted, abused, beat up, disrespected in such a very visceral, intentional, purposeful way. That, when I was removed as chair, I was like, oh, okay, you don't want me to say nothing. You don't want my voice. Oh, okay. And I went to Twitter.
That's right. Twitter. Like, I'm going to have a voice now.
Like, woo-woo! Oh, you're not going to stop this train. Let me go ahead and get BrandeisMarshall.com together.
Y'all gonna get real,
child.
real.
Yes,
and
child.
That's the thing too. Like, it's so crazy how, you think that, I don't know, the transition from all PWIs to an HBCU is a transition in itself. And you immediately became chair when you went to Spelman, right?
It was 2 years.
2 years, okay.
And I will have to shout out Dr. Andrea Lawrence. She is the mother.
Oh, yeah.
Computer science.
Andrea Lawrence.
Yes, Andrea. Yes, she is
She's
Queen
amazing.
Mother. She allowed me to have 2 years. So she did an extra year of chairing the department so that I could get my footing under me, so I could take over as chair.
What would
and
you
believe
say to
you
people?
me.
Oh, go ahead.
And I believe you me, I talked to her. I was at her feet for a year. I was in her office anytime she needed something. I was like, yes, ma'am, what you need? I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to make sure I understood what was going on. I wanted to take care of the department like she had taken care of the department.
What would you say to people who are like, transitioning to a place where they're now in leadership? Because clearly, you were there for 2 years and things still kind of went awry. So like, what would you say to people to like look out for, to do, like any sort of advice if you're coming in to lead, but you have a little bit of lead time before that?
My advice is so much. I think, not in any particular order, whomever is the administrative support of the department, listen to them. Be their friend. Know their children's name, their birthday, what they like. Sit down, talk to them. They know all the things that are happening. When you're in a leadership position, you don't hear things because the staff doesn't want you to know.
Yeah.
But they will tell the administrative support.
Yes, they will.
And you need to know. You don't need to directly know. You just need to know. So that's one. I think two is just listen. Get an idea of the culture before you want to make any changes. Get to know who is your direct reports. Understand some of what their talent is. Go and just talk to them. How you doing? What can I do to help? Don't come with an agenda. Don't come with... I had chocolate. That was little itty bitty chocolate you get at like Sam's Club.
Oh yeah.
I just went around and was like, here's some chocolate, especially for the faculty who were teaching lecture and then had a lab right after and no break in that 10-minute break, right? I would swoop in that 10 minutes and go, stop teaching. Here's some chocolate. Deuces. And so that's what I would do. And I wasn't trying to interrupt. I was just trying to like take a beat and then, and it was helpful. And I would just go by people's offices. How are things going? And I think that is important because then you understand where they're at. You understand a little bit more about what's going on in the department. You understand who are the challenging students before they become challenges to you.
Yes. Who are the challenging faculty?
Woo!
With the voices. Because sometimes it's the loudest person. It's the loudest person is what everybody focuses on.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
You got some silent shooters in the back too.
Ooh, yeah. Got people that just want to say something but don't want to say it to you. Want to say it about you. I'd be like, come at me. Just come at me straight. Let's have it straight. Oh, you don't want to talk to me straight? You want to do the side? Okay, that's cool. Listen,
I'm here anyways.
I'm a Midwesterner. As I said, I'm from Akron, Ohio. I'm just gonna tell you, it's just gonna, and I know it's not gonna come out pretty. I know it's gonna seem like I'm mean. I know it's gonna be like hit you, and then I'm out because of my Virgo-ness. I understand. I'm self-aware enough to know that now. But listen, if you don't do right, I'm just gonna call you out in your face. And keep it moving.
So I have a question about just where you're what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Because that seems like it built your character.
Yeah.
Right? And it helped you.
The KBJ persevere moment. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right.
And you're now in a place where it's everything that you post, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
And also, where was this?
You've been there, right? And you've seen it, and you now are able to leverage it to point us. And when I say us, I mean people like me who are coming through the ranks of academia, but also people in industry. This is what you should look out for. These are some resources that you can leverage, even listen to this voice over here. What they're saying is really rich. So what are you doing now that other people can connect with?
Well, let's see. I have the Rebel Tech newsletter.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Explain that. Yeah.
So as part of the post George Floyd situation and murder, right? A lot of companies wanted Black people to talk, especially Black women. And that afforded me the opportunity to do talks from home because of COVID. And that made sure that I had enough money. And as part of getting more coin, I was able to hire a virtual assistant that then was suggested that I do a newsletter.
I wanted an assistant.
Right. I started that story by saying, out of tragedy of George Floyd, I got coin in order to then pay someone. Right. And so there's an economic and social underpinning to why I said it that way. And so the Rebel Tech newsletter is something that I started because of a suggestion from my virtual assistant. You seem to be doing a lot of stuff. Why don't you just create a newsletter? It'll be so cool, and I can help you with it. Blah blah blah. And it really, that's one way to connect with me, is to get on my list, and then you get something every other week. from me that something in the news about data and data ethics and AI ethics that I have have to commentate on. So that's one way to kind of know kind of what I'm thinking. There's also Medium.
Yes.
And then
we're gonna link to your Medium at the in the show notes.
Yeah, so Medium is another way that I release some of my thoughts outside of Twitter. And then a bulk of what I'm putting my energies into is, of course, this book that's coming out in September, which is, of course, Data Conscience, Algorithmic Siege on Our Humanity, pre-order today, and all those other shameless plugs.
Are we allowed to like get a nugget of something that's like why would we buy it? Why would you buy it? Yeah.
Why would
Aside
you
from
buy
the amazing title?
Yeah.
The amazing title. Why would you buy this book? This book is for the people who are understanding the nature of their work is multi-generational and has social impact. So if you are a senior level graduate student to a senior level data person or software engineering person, this book will provide a reference point for what things you could potentially be asking and doing in order to make tech a bit more equitable. It's a conversation starter for data ops. It is a blend between data science and social justice. My first chapter is oppression by ...
Wow.
My last chapter is titled By the Law.
Oh.
So I start with the oppressionist pre-internet, and I talk at the end about the law and the governance that is happening, or what I believe should be happening.
Right.
So that's why
it.
I think this book, I am hoping, will be one that everyone would have on their bookshelves. And not only
really
because it's me pouring out, we need to get it together, people. And
Yes.
Like, it makes me think of like Ruha Benjamin.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole effort, like Joy and
Joy, Timney, I mean, everybody. Sophia Noble. I mean, the whole entourage of Black women who have been calling a spade, right? I mean, Shireen Mitchell. I mean, hello, her whole work talked about how Black people were being targeted for the elections in 2016. But it's us.
We're the ones having these conversations, and it's like we're waving these like red flags. Hey, look over here. Something's wrong. This is not okay. And like, why can't we have movement? Like, what do you think is the problem, like, holding us back as a country? Because this is like it's not even a country thing, like,
it's a world, as a human race.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the reason why the book is titled For Our Humanity.
Okay, I gotta read the book and I'll know.
But your question is very valid. It's like, why, like, well, not why, but what is like the problem, and how can we really move the needle forward, and why can't we move this needle forward? And it's because the voices of women have been muted.
Yes.
Have been muted in all spaces. And so what I'm doing is providing a book, because most books, I think 90% of books, are by white men. And in computing, you already know, because you can just look at your bookshelf and see all the white men books that you got. I want to have my book be on that shelf. Be like, oh, the Black woman book right there.
Right.
Put that part of your required reading, that Black woman book right there. That Black woman book right there. Yep, that's what. With the ice cream cone on it. Exactly.
Yes.
So that's part of it. And then the other, I think, problem is that as women, we're so multidisciplinary, and our work gets pigeonholed into categories in misalignment with the overall, like, just tear down of white supremacy.
Yeah.
Because I'm bringing together resources that are from the humanities, that are from the sciences, that are people of different gender identities, from people from different economic backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds. And people, and so I have to source these things from different places and trying to bring them together. That takes a lot of work, and there's no repository for that because we have to say it's computer science education. It is psychology. It is pedagogy in STEM.
Right.
It is math pedagogy. We're
that's the challenge.
Torn.
With the research.
Right. And that's the challenge with the work that I do, which is why I feel like for me at this juncture, I'm pivoting toward just working on data ethics group and Black women in data initiatives because my work is so interdisciplinary. Yeah. That one pigeonhole is not going to help me. Yes, I'm a scholar. Yes, I still write papers. Yes, I still like all that. But my writing is sometimes just for the people.
And it's accessible now.
Yes.
And it's accessible now. And I don't have to worry about a publication count.
Yes. And people don't realize multiple things can be true about a person at the same time. You can be a scholar and an activist and be for social justice. And there's so many different buckets. You don't have to be pigeonholed into one thing.
Yeah.
So we love it. We also would like to, we haven't told you this, we want to buy 5 copies of your book to give out to Modern Figures podcast listeners. So,
okay, so everyone listening did not see my face as I raised my
but
hands.
they'll see it on YouTube. They will see it. This video portion will be on the YouTube if you're listening.
We should just take the clip of her
yes.
Arms in the air and put that as her episode photo so people can see it.
Exactly. But if you are listening to this and it is September 2022 or before,
we should have them
or after.
Contact us now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Contact us now. Let us know, hey, this book sounds like the jam for me and my household. So just go ahead. Yeah, let us know and we will put you on the list because this is amazing. I'm buying one for myself outside of these because there's so much that needs to be
in the lab.
Yes.
Just put it on the coffee table.
Well, yeah, but also there.
Yeah. Also there as well. And thank you so much for offering to buy 5 copies. I will be happy to autograph them to whomever those 5 people are.
Snap.
I'll snap. Listen, we got to level up. So they yes. Oh, don't get me dancing now, y'all. Okay, all right.
You got 2 dances on the podcast. I feel like we had to dance at some point. If you're listening, go to YouTube so you can see all the dancingness.
Yes. The fabulous and Jeremy's just like, I'm not going to dance.
I'm not feeling it.
Jeremy danced too.
I do, but my body is mad right now.
Yeah.
From physical therapy. So.
I'm sorry.
But Brandy, tell us about the conference because that is also upcoming and people need to register for it.
People need to know, listen, I have been for 2 years trying to figure out how to bring Black women in the data industry together, particularly mid-career. So this is not for the babies. This is for people who have been reorged a couple times, who understand office politics, who are trying to navigate their workplace presence. And we know how that is as Black women. We're given multiple jobs without compensation and trying to figure out how to navigate it. And so this conference is a day and a half. It's October 1st and the 2nd in Atlanta or online. You can join. There's a charge for it because everyone's being paid. The speakers are being paid. The vendors are being paid. Everyone as of now are all Black women. So their money is going directly to Black women, and this is really a professional development engagement. You will have a state of the Black women in data addressed by me, and then we're moving on to a panel about data careers, paths, and things. We'll have small group breakout sessions to talk through your data skills assessment, how you might want to pivot or upskill. What does that look like for you to get a plan, an action plan? There'll be a workbook that will be provided in order to help guide you through that action plan and what does that even look like for you. And then On the second day, and then there will be a career coach that will be there just to kind of give you one-on-one, like just general information about career coaching and why it's important for us to be career coached. And then day 2 is just going to be a half day, which is really the skills trainings. And so right now we definitely have a Power BI training that is by this like amazing person. And so, yeah, all the details are at blackwomenindata.com. Check it out. Join.
And we will link to it as well. And
register. Tell your friends. Come on through. We're gonna have a DJ on Saturday morning. Yes, we gonna.
Can we come?
Yes. Yeah, come on with it. I'm just not playing. Looking for sponsors.
Let's go talk to some people.
Yes. I even have a doc that's gonna go out. That's just a template. So if you want to get your employer to pay for it, I'm gonna provide you some words to put there. Yep. Yes, because come on with it. Come on down, have some fun, enjoy.
Let us talk to some of your participants. That might be a good opportunity for us to have a Black Women in Data episode.
Yes, come on through. It's all about amplifying Black women, amplifying whatever is your current hustle, your side hustle, your front hustle, your back hustle. It don't matter. It's cool. Come on through, because I'm going to be championing the vendors. I'm going to be championing the women who are speaking in whatever capacity they are comfortable with me doing, because I'm like, yes, we all need to get coin.
I love it. Brandy, this has been amazing. We want to be respectful of your time, so we will definitely wrap up. But is there anything? Oh, wait, where can they find you on the internet? We're going to link it as well, but let them know.
Yeah. On the interwebs, you can find me on the Twitter, the Bird app for now, CS Dr. Sister. If not, LinkedIn, my name, Brandeis Marshall. And then, of course, BrandeisMarshall.com. You can check out what I'm doing. Link to all the other stuff.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been a blast. We need another half an hour, though.
I'm telling you got a hard stop. So I was like, we could keep you here, but I know you got to go. We'll bring it back.
Just bring me back. You
can come back closer to the conference. Talk some more about it.
Ooh, I love
Yes. Let's make it happen, Captain. Told you, I'm Midwest. Corny. I'm corny.
That's a good end.
Yeah.